Kamen Rider Zero-One's summer movie is really unique in comparison to recent Rider seasons because, well, it's not actually a summer movie. Due to world events, it got delayed and turned into a post-series epilogue, which may seem like a bad thing, but the end result, Kamen Rider Zero-One's summer-winter movie thingy is actually pretty awesome. I really liked Kamen Rider Zero-One, REALXTIME, and today I'm going to talk all about it, especially the name. Is it REALXTIME? Just real time? I don't know, but whatever. Be sure to leave a like on this video if you enjoy my whole discussion about it, and also consider subscribing to this channel for more Kamen Rider Zero-One content, like my thoughts on the V cinemas coming out, and my full season review on the show, and the writer potential video where I look at how this show could be adapted in a way similar to Power Rangers. What I really loved about REALXTIME Real Time is how it jumps immediately into the story and action. There's no build-up like a first encounter with the villains setting up their plans. Instead, we're just thrust right into what's basically the third act of a Rider movie, complete with the final form fighting the big boss. Like, that is literally, again, what final battles are in most movies, and it's just the beginning of this movie. Because of that, I actually thought we would flash back like a bit into the movie and then just get a bunch of setup and then lead up to that battle being the final fight of the movie, but no, that is just the beginning of the movie, and I love it. It sets this really ominous tone for the movie as well, since in a way the villains have already won, so the movie feels like this mad dash to not only stop the destruction of the world, but also to figure out how the destruction of the world is coming about, which only happens because these scenes are actually happening and aren't just flashbacks. The little moments in between the fight scenes where the characters are talking to each other even have this intensity because there is that timer going on in the background, which is a really fun gimmick because it's like a Christopher Nolan movie and it moves in real time. Hey, that's the name of the movie. Speaking of characters, the Zero-One cast was still great in this. It really heavily focuses on Aruto and the new characters, which is expected, so it was just fun to see all the other characters kind of just doing their thing. Hirobi and Jin acting as heroes after the finale of Zero-One, and Vulcan I think they confirm that Vulcan does not have a job and he's just running around beating people up. The movie makes a joke out of something the show did in a weird way, so that's a point to the movie. I wish that Naki actually took part in the fights since they're a part of AIMS with Yua. It would have been kind of cool to see Orthros Vulcan used by Naki while they are part of AIMS, like that's their AIMS form, or we could just use the normal Naki form as well since it wasn't used that much in the show, but Naki is literally like 10 feet away from Yua fighting, and I don't know why Naki couldn't join the fight. I don't know. In typical Zero-One fashion though, the fights are absolutely amazing. The initial fight with Valkyrie and the gamers has these really cool tracking shots that really gives you a sense of the insanity and work really well with Yua's fighting style. I think there's even like a point of view shot with Yua and an Abaddon, and that's also really great. And the out of suit fight at the end is also just cool for the fact I don't think Guy Amatsu has had any actual combat training, so he's just kind of flailing around with 1,000 jackers, so good for him. And the Jin / Vulcan plane fight is really awesome visually because of Burning Falcon being the best Zero-One suit, and the fight itself is so visually different from all the others because it's like a CG mess of noise. And also in the beginning, Vulcan just gets his jingle completely cut off, and it's like hilarious. The Humagear Sentai Zero Onger Team Morph was super badass as well. It's a shame we didn't get a unique roll call, but hey, at least we got that Team Morph. I think the Hell Rising fight was fine. The other fights were a bit more interesting to watch, but I think the Hell Rising fight was better for like the idea behind it. I wasn't really expecting that form to be like a last ditch effort to stop the villains from getting the Progress Key, and it did differentiate it from from the other berserker forms Aruto gets in the actual show. This one, he uses it on purpose to save the day, which is kind of a inverse of how he used Arc 1 in the show, I guess. So there's that. The standout fight of the movie for me, though, would have to be the Zero-One and Zero-Two fight at the end. First off, just the novelty of having a Kamen Rider fight alongside their final form is awesome, and to match this, the background music becomes a mix of Zero-One's main trumpet theme and an instrumental of Zero-Two's insert theme, and that's just so badass. Then you add in the fact that Izu is the one who becomes Zero-Two, which is such a fulfilling moment after she spent the entirety of the original season just running around fights, actually dying once because of it, and now she's just armored up to help even more and presumably not die. And the naming of the forms just works so well as well. It's just so well as well. And the naming of the forms just works so well, it's all just amazing. Sadly, this is kind of where my problems with the movie start. First off, Izu gives Aruto the belt back at the end of the movie. That's kind of just a nitpick of like one scene at the end of the movie. It might not even amount to anything. So one actual problem with the movie I have is the way Izu gets her memories back. It's really dumb. The idea itself is sort of dumb because it undoes like the end of Zero-One, but I have been expecting it for like 6 months when Izu was revived and then a post-series movie was announced, so I've kind of come around to it. But she gets her memories back by standing in nothing, and then another Izu touches her temples, and now she remembers everything. It's super uneventful. Izu's next appearance is as Zero-Two to save Aruto, and it would have been awesome if she just did that on her own, became Zero-Two to save Aruto, and that internal desire to save him as a Kamen Rider triggered the return of her memories. Oh well, Zero-One and Zero-Two together is still a fantastic finale. I'm happy for Aruto getting to fight alongside his favorite robot. While we're on the topic of negatives, I don't like the Thouser comedy bit. It just kind of made me uncomfortable. But hey, comedy's subjective, as Aruto found out in the movie. What? Aruto-san! Now, Bell as the final boss is absolutely awful. My problem with him isn't that he feels super tacked on as a final boss, because I think it fits with what the movie had to do to get a big finale, but just of all people to choose for the final boss, why him? Of the other main Abaddons, he's barely in this movie, and he has the least personality. Like, this dude's got muscles, this dude wears glasses, this girl carries a stuffed animal that carries her progress key, but no, the generic dude is the most important one. Either they should have just kind of gotten rid of the other generals and played up Bell as like the leader of the Abaddons, and then his betrayal by S is kind of bigger and it makes more sense why he's the final boss, or you could have made Azu the final boss and have her survive the attack, and then it still would have been more satisfying than this Jingle Bells man. Also, because Azu exists in this movie just to exposit, and we could have had like a secretary versus secretary thing, but oh well. Despite Bell being bad, the villains are actually my favorite part of the movie. The nanobot Abaddons are a really cool touch and create a nice twist in the final battle, actually all the battles. But I really love Esu, Aiden, the main bad guy. He's amazing. At first, I didn't like how generic he was. He's like trying to destroy the world with his big evil army, and honestly, I'm still a bit confused about what the heck he was doing as a nanobot person for over 10 years after Daybreak. But as we dived into his backstory, I thought he became amazing. First, I thought his plan was really unique. I really believe that he was just a creator that charges forward believing in paradise for his cult of crazy gamers, but he's really just getting rid of the worst possible people so that his digital world is full of good people. Then we have the reasoning for why he's creating this digital world. It's just so he can give his fiance as realistic of an afterlife as possible. I don't know, I thought that was kind of sweet, even if he's trying to kill a lot of people to do that. At the end, I love that Eden the Kamen Rider is not defeated by a Rider kick or Rider punch, but by Aruto utilizing the lessons he's learned throughout the course of Zero-One. Aruto teaches this villain that human hearts, memories, and souls live on in technology, and in turn gives him a change of heart that fits perfectly with the overarching themes of this Rider season, but with that post-season evolution of it regarding nanobots and digital consciousness instead of human Yuma gears. Villain redemptions can always be a hit or miss, especially in a Kamen Rider movie, but the redemption of Eden was done so beautifully, first by giving an interesting bait and switch with his henchmen, then by giving him this beautiful, tragic mission for love, and then having him defeated by the main character's core ideals. I was genuinely happy to see S and Akane have their digital wedding and imagine their ideal illusion at the end of the movie, and it was legitimately touching and a perfect conclusion to a nearly perfect character in a nearly perfect movie. This was a surprisingly good movie. Again, I wasn't expecting much out of anything when Esu just appeared in the end of the Zero-One finale to market his premium Bandai toy, but I think everything was awesome in this. Maybe it helps that the plot is oddly similar to X-Aid's post-finale movie. Haha, Zero-One is really X-Aid too. The fights, story, and characters just made it a really enjoyable experience, and I think it was a great send-off for the main Zero-One timeline. Next time, things will get a bit wackier with Kamen Rider Metsubo Jinrai, so be sure to subscribe for that video, and I hope to see you next time.